Welcome to the Massachusetts Tiered Systems of Support Literacy Academy webinar. This is Darcy Burns from Hill for Literacy. I'm going to, our agenda for the webinar today is welcome. I will provide an overview of the Massachusetts Tiered Systems of Support Academy focused on literacy and also the readiness requirements. And we will have a follow-up webinar to address any questions. So first of all, I'm Darcy Burns. I'm the Executive Director of Hill for Literacy. We are a nonprofit organization that partners with school systems to implement school-wide literacy models aimed at preventing reading difficulties. And we are excited to continue into our second year of delivering the literacy content for MTSS. So MTSS focuses on system structures and supports across the district, school, and classroom to meet the academic and non-academic needs of all students, including students with disabilities, English language learners, and students who have already demonstrated mastery of the concepts and skills being taught. The idea of a tiered system of support is that each tier of instruction is aimed at meeting the individual needs of students. The purpose of this webinar is to provide an overview of the training, the readiness implementation, and outcomes of the Massachusetts Tiered Systems of Support, tiered academic instruction focused on literacy. This initiative is a multi-year academy and coaching plan. The graph is a blueprint for what to expect. Year one is, which is this coming fall, 2016 through spring of 2017, will involve 6 days of face-to-face team trainings or academies and 3 coaches trainings, followed and also 2 on-site technical assistant days per district. And it is also a goal of the MTSS initiative is to host a networking meeting. And then in year 2, we continue with the face-to-face academies. There will be 3 of those, so 9 total academies over the course of 2 years, 3 days of coaching training, and then 2 days of on-site support per district. And again, the goal of having a network meeting during some point in year 2. And then for the final year, year 3, fall of 2018 to spring of 2019, the academies will have been completed, and so that year involves coaches trainings 4 days during the school year, as well as 2 days of on-site technical assistance and a networking meeting. So this is a general plan of this multi-year academy and coaching plan. The next chart is a draft of the specific academy dates. So the goal this year is to provide these literacy academies in 2 parts of the state, one in the east and one in the west, to accommodate people's distance and driving. The time of these academies are scheduled with registration beginning at 8:30 and the content ending at 2 o'clock with teams. Also, we welcome teams to stay and do some planning, but the content will end at 2, again, to accommodate people's travel schedules. In addition, this is a K-12 initiative, but the content will be delivered separately. There's an elementary content being delivered in one room, while the middle school, high school content is delivered in a separate room. And the schedule of those academies, again, these are draft dates, but these are hopefully the dates of the academies. There's 2 back-to-back days in October, one in the east, one in the west, and then and the academies then are every other month. So one in December, one in February, one in April, and one in June. And then the opposite months, we are hosting coaches meetings Those also will be held in a location in the east and the west. The time of those coaches meetings is 9 to 2, and those will be the opposite months in November, January, March, and May. Again, this is a draft schedule, a final schedule with the dates will be sent out once we confirm that the location and trainers are available. In terms of topics, because this is a K-12 initiative, we are addressing certain content area that is geared towards elementary. And when we say elementary, we mean grades, any configuration K-5, K-6, K-4. We know that there's different schools have different grade levels at different levels, but that's essentially the range that we're looking at. And this is a tentative schedule of topics, starting with an overview of MTSS, beginning with addressing some and sharing some needs assessment tools. The whole premise of our work is based on that schools have really good practices in place, so we want to identify what those are through a needs assessment process. A major goal of year one is to identify and work towards a concrete literacy plan. And then we move into the big components of an MTSS model. Assessment, we'll talk specifically about reading instruction in all areas of literacy. And then we will also move into the systems and structures that support tiered instruction. And implementation tools that support Tier 1. In middle school, high school, you'll see that the topics are somewhat similar, again focused on adolescent literacy. There will be components of the systems and structures and purpose of RTI or MTSS, and again addressing some of the leadership and needs assessment tools in the beginning in October, November, and then moving into instruction focused on Tier 1 and then moving into Tier 2 and Tier 3. Additionally, focused on reading strategies for adolescent learners, writing strategies, and then moving into Tier 2 instruction. And again, these are draft topics. A matrix of the training academies will be provided along with the schedule. The goal of these academies is for teams from the school to attend. So this is based on the idea of having distributed leadership represented in these academies. So we would like for there to be one district level administrator, one school level administrator with decision-making authority, so it could be the principal, assistant principal, someone with decision-making authority. We would like for the literacy coach to be a part of the team, and then an additional teacher or lead teacher or interventionist that would be identified as a second literacy leader or a second coach. We'd like representation from special education, one representative from ELL, and then one general education teacher from grades, from the elementary grades. For the middle school, high school, the composition of the teams is very similar. Again, district level administrator, one school administrator. We also, department head or cluster leaders are optional. At least one coach identified as a literacy lead, at least one lead teacher identified as a literacy lead. Again, representation from special education, from ELL, and we also were recommending that one content area educator, maybe from science, math, or humanities, attend these academies. To help the schools think about their readiness to participate in the MTSS Literacy Academies. We have provided or created a readiness survey that we would like each school who is planning on attending to take time with your with the district administration and school administration to complete this readiness survey. The idea and the readiness survey, which will go into the components, is really based on the MTSS model, and the goal of the readiness survey is to begin to understand what components the school already has in place and how ready the school or district is to participate. So the MTSS model involves on the outer circle, well, let's go into the inner circle, the tiered instructional model, with Tier 1 being core instruction, Tier 2 supplemental to core, and Tier 3 is intensive. And the idea that these are flexible tiers that are aimed at meeting students' needs and preventing, overall academic achievement issues. And so this model is supported by utilizing research-based interventions and assessments. It's based on providing high-quality core curriculum instruction school-wide. The tiered instructional model is also based on the use of universal screeners and progress monitoring tools to determine which students require what type of instruction and whether or not they're responding to it. And then the outer circle are the structures and systems that should support the model. So leadership routines, student support through the school culture, family engagement, and then curriculum instruction and assessment, and that fidelity of implementation is a key component. And those components will be addressed throughout the academies. Of course, the whole system is also supported by human resources and financial and asset management, which those will be less dealt with during the academies, but professional development will be another component. So our goal is to have universal instruction that is working for 80 to 90% of the population. This is the ultimate goal of a tiered instructional model, and ensuring the fact that our instruction is that effective. So therefore, there is a small number of students, 5 to 10%, who require some additional supplemental targeted intervention, and the smallest percentage, 1 to 5%, requiring intensive individual interventions. So this is the model that we work from and is the basis for these literacy academies. The elements of an effective literacy model that will be addressed throughout the academies and the coaches meetings include strong instructional leaders that support distributed leadership, that allocate resources, and support the priority goals. So a focus of the content will be on ensuring the fact that there is distributed leadership across the school, that there is, and that the distributed leadership team is overseeing the implementation of the literacy plan that maintains the focus and oversees the implementation. An effective literacy model includes the use of valid and reliable assessments to screen, monitor, and diagnose, and to determine student outcomes to make decisions about instruction. Also, the model includes the use of research-proven materials and programs within a tiered instructional model. Some of the additional, and the model also requires adequate prioritized instructional time, differentiated instruction grouping and scheduling within and across tiers, and the integrated system of professional development and resource allocation to support the implementation of the model. The goal of the academies is to help schools create sustainable MTSS literacy models that again, include distributed leadership, administrative support, strong action plan that is guided by research-based assessment system to identify need, to inform the use of data, to determine the use of literacy programs and materials to meet all the needs of the learners. The Readiness Survey, we hope that the participating schools will have leadership teams to guide and oversee the implementation of the activities associated with the initiative. So the idea is that the team that attends the academy is a subset of the school leadership team. We also, another requirement is that the school has support from the district and building leaders. That is why, as part of the team, that it is a requirement to have decision makers as part of the teams that are attending the academies. We also would like schools to have research-supported assessment tools to identify and monitor the literacy needs of all students, and the use of assessment data to inform decisions about reading instruction and intervention. The leadership team members that are identified to attend need to attend all of the sessions, both the academies and the coaches meetings, and same with the literacy facilitator and teacher need to attend the coaches meetings. We also would like for the participating schools to commit to developing a literacy action plan that will be implemented over the course of this initiative, allocating time in their school schedule to implement the action steps in the plan, and allocating resources when applicable to implementing certain action steps in the plan. And finally, using a common and consistent aligned research-based literacy programs, resources, and providing ongoing training and support. So the structure that we hope to accomplish is that the literacy leadership team has the support of, so they attend the academies, they have the support of the school and district, and that leads to a database literacy action plan that is implemented, evaluated, and monitored over time, and that it's a general feedback and implementation loop over the course of the next 3 years. The phases, so the first year is, the first phase is this step in documenting completing the readiness survey to, and making sure that there is a commitment of the administration and leadership, that there is a commitment to implementing the content learned throughout the MTSS work, and identifying the team members and literacy facilitators who are going to be able to bring this information back to the school. Phase 2 is the implementation. So beginning in year 1, the teams will participate in the academies, coaches will participate in the coaches meetings, and the literacy leadership teams, we hope, will meet on a regular basis, and that the leadership teams in the school become the vehicle for the teams that are attending the academy to bring the information back to their leadership team and the coaches. And then finally, that the full implementation is to continue to develop and refine the literacy plan, that the new content and the activities that are articulated specifically in the literacy plan are implemented, and that there is some mechanism for measuring fidelity of implementation and determining that there is an increase in student progress. Expected outcomes for this initiative is the leadership team and structures to develop and implement a model of continuous literacy improvement, a process for developing and refining a comprehensive research-based assessment system, a process for developing and refining a continuum of aligned complementary literacy program and materials within a tiered model, and structures and plans for providing data-informed embedded professional development. The next steps are to submit a district letter of intent to participate in one of the trainings, either elementary or secondary, to the Mass Department of Education by July 1st, and priority for acceptance will be given to schools that send elementary and secondary school teams. Upon the receipt of the district letter of intent, the readiness checklist will be sent to the school principal. So in the meantime, we are going to hold a follow-up webinar call to this recruitment training. It will be held on June 16th and June 17th. An email will be disseminated regarding the times of that webinar. And then our goal is to receive completed readiness checklists sometime in July. Our readiness must be met prior to the first team training, of course. This concludes our webinar presentation. If there are any questions, do not hesitate to email me, Darcy Burns, at darcy@healthforliteracy.org. Thank you very much for your participation.